Tonight on the Fanatic Forum, I'm going to share with you three fantastic thrillers. Getting ready for the Halloween season, maybe not quite just yet, but these are things that will keep you definitely on the edge of your seat. Coming up next. Hey everybody, happy Friday and welcome to the Fanatic Forum. I'm your Fanatic and host, George Bueller. I hope you all are having a good week so far. And it'll be a good weekend here, or I hope so. I mean, there's lots of cool stuff happening this weekend here. So I will tell you about that in just a second here. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a good one here so far. So, but yeah, this week here, we're going to see if you can survive this trio of terror, so to speak. These are three films that definitely kind of be classified as thrillers. They're not, horror films or slasher films necessarily. These are real world horrific events, so to speak here. So they be classified more as thrillers, so to speak. So I don't know who made the classifications, but there you are. There you have it. So anyway, these are three of my favorites here. Maybe you're familiar with these movies, maybe you're not. So if I introduce you to something cool, then hey, that's all more better here. But if you guys have something to share yourselves here, I definitely want to hear about that. So yeah, but of course, I've got some cool comics to share with you guys. But first, I do have a couple of things to pass on here. One, if you're in the Elizabethtown area or in Kentucky, Louisville, Southern Indiana, whatever else, you feel like coming to E-Town this weekend, today or tomorrow only, is the Night Risers Con. This is a normally annual convention that happens in Elizabethtown here. So it's a nice local con, so support your local conventions. This year it's being held at the Morrison Lodge right here on Mulberry Street. So it's right before you get to downtown. So if you basically get to the downtown square, you went a little bit too far. But anyway, we have some local vendors there, a couple of local professional wrestlers, celebrities there. They got a couple of famous cars. The Elizabeth Paranormal Society, I think, is going to be there. And then, of course, later on that evening, there's going to be a zombie walk. I think it's like at 7 o'clock. So you can, gear up as your best zombie or even zombie hunters. I don't know, keep things fair out there, folks. We're not actually zombies. We're not killing anything. So just remember that. But anywho, so that's going to be, tomorrow in E-Town. So hope everybody can turn out there. I know my boy Andre with Straight Up Issues is going to be out there. He's going to have a table in the merch area and he's going to be doing his first Whatnot auction. So he's excited about all that. So I'm definitely going to check that out. So yeah, so it should be a lot of fun there. Another thing I want to share with you guys, and this is something that's a little personal for me there, but my buddy Jay Whelan is a film director, and he's got his production company, Atomic Bomb Productions, and his latest release is actually coming out next month, and it happens to star yours truly. So Zeta 23, I Am Legend is the name of the film. It's a short film, definitely kind of a little bit of horror, but also a little bit of parody and satire as well, kind of mirroring a bit of current events the past couple of years. But anyway, had a lot of fun doing it. Of course, he was a nice local group of folks, from around Louisville, Southern Indiana, whatever else. So the trailer for that is actually going to be debuting tonight at 9 o'clock on YouTube. So I'm going to be sharing a link on the Fanatic Forum page and also on my personal Facebook page if anybody else needs a help on there. And I'm also later on sharing on my YouTube page as well. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. And it might lead to, some, films later on down the road, but maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens on it. But anyway, it was a fun project to do. I got to walk around the streets of downtown Louisville in a hazmat suit. Interesting little backstory is that literally the next day, some other fella in New York basically attacked people on a subway with an assault rifle, and he was wearing a gas mask. I was wearing a gas mask the day before. So Fortunately, the Louisville Police Department didn't know we were there and what we were doing. At the time, I did not have any fake weaponry on me. I get fake weaponry later on, but yeah, it was a little. I mean, when we were doing it, it was cool. Then the next day, we see the news like, oh, good thing we filmed that yesterday. Whew, yeah. But anyway, so that was a little interesting little backstory there. So a little behind the scenes on Zeta 23. So we got a couple of people tuning in here. Marianne, good to see you as always. Crayley, good to see you, madame. Of course, you want to check out some cool cosplay stuff if you happen to be a cosplayer or you have an interest in that or just want to learn anything about the whole, anything cosplay. You need to check out Cosplay Cafe. I've had Kelly on here. I've had Andre on here. Crayley, I haven't had you on here just yet, madame, but that's all right. We're coming up pretty soon. Next week, I'm going to be on her show, her other show, Comic Books, The New Class, her and Ryan Permisson, who you guys know. He's been on the show before. So I'm going to be introducing them to some, maybe some independent books they don't know about just yet. So yeah, tune in for that one next week. So I think it's on Tuesdays. But yeah, so yeah, it should be good. Good time there. Lots of comic book talk. So anyway, so speaking of comics, yeah. Chris says thanks, Cosplay Cafe. There you go. Yeah, so yeah, tune in that, folks. It's on the YouTubes, it's on the Facebooks, all part of the Cereal Box Cafe network here. So we're back to the cereal. I'm mixing up all my shows here. It's back at the Cereal Box Network here, Cosplay Cafe. Yeah, I keep them separated, George. It's been a week. I've been sorting a lot of comic books, sniffing a lot of old newsprint, so things happen here. Anywho. So yeah, so I just wanted to share with you guys there. Also, another local event. It's not coming up until next month, but the Creature Feature is back, formerly known as the Halloween Fest, but now it's the Creature Feature. It's going to be in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, as always, the Paraquet Spring Center. So another nice little local con there. They like to celebrate, Halloween stuff throughout the weekend. Have a little trick or treating there for your kids. They want to do cosplay contests as well. Of course, they have lots of vendors there, lots of comics, and lots of like model building if you're into that, sort of thing like that, especially if you go to Wonderfest in Louisville. So it's a little bit smaller version of that. So yeah, all kinds of cool stuff out there. So yeah, that's coming up next month, I believe the 28th and 29th of October. So end of the month there. So yeah, should be a good time there. I always go out there. So yeah, should be cool. Like I said, support your local conventions. All right, so let's talk comics here because we've got some cool stuff to share this week. From Marvel here, got a couple of selections here. Issue 2 of Predator with, of course, Ed Brisson's writing this one. Kev Walker's doing the art. And this is set to like, issue 2 is kind of like a little bit of, issue 1, we got kind of a lot of slam bang stuff going on here, set up our main character and kind of how the Predators have affected her life. And then issue 2, kind of like we're back in, what's going on in modern day. The hunt is on, and I don't necessarily mean the Predators. I mean, she's hunting them. And she kind of gets her wish at the end of this issue here. So issue 3 should be, as good old JR would say, a slobber knocker. So I've been enjoying the book so far. It's a good approach. We care about the character. That's our lead. So, yeah, I'm a fan so far. So, so far so good. Another book I've, of course, been loving here. Daredevil, currently with Chip Zdarsky's run on here. And, Salvador De La Torre doing the art on here. Just love the whole storyline going on right now that basically currently everybody thinks Matt Murdock is dead again. Yeah, it's happened more than once. Anywho, so everybody thinks Matt Murdock is dead, so Daredevil can basically 100% focus on being Daredevil. Elektra is kind of on a redemption arc right now, so she's basically trying to be Daredevil-ish by not killing. So there you go. But basically what they're both trying to do is reform the Fist, which essentially is the group that would normally oppose the Hand, as in the evil undead ninja group. What Daredevil learns in this book here, and what we already know if you're Punisher fans, is that Frank Castle is leading the Hand currently. He's the ring general right now. And Daredevil knows Frank very well, as readers of classic Daredevil and Punisher stuff know. So yeah, of course, if you're reading Punisher already, the last issue of Punisher is basically Daredevil approaching Frank and saying, "Frank, WTF, man?" And so this issue is kind of almost a little bit behind that, but you kind of find out how Daredevil finds out, and so there is a clash coming up pretty soon. I can't wait for it. Of course, things aren't going too terribly well with Daredevil's, or actually, I'm sorry, Frank Castle's relationship with the Hand. It's strained almost immediately. So yeah, so we will definitely see how things go with that one here, but it should be a lot of fun, a lot of fighting. Let's see. Crayless, it would be a shock if Matt Murdock were assumed alive. Yeah, we'll see. The whole thing too is, of course, this is all going back to the Devil's Reign storyline that just wrapped up here, which frankly was an excellent event. It was not a huge. It kind of just merely kind of overtook all like the street level guys. Anybody who was really kind of operating directly out of New York because Wilson Fisk was formerly mayor of New York. Now Luke Cage is currently mayor. So yes, Power Man is mayor of New York City, and he's not doing too bad of a job of it. So yeah, a couple people try to come in and strong arm him. They're big real estate. Well, they don't have any superpowers except they're tremendously wealthy, kind of like Bruce Wayne. But yeah, so they try to strong arm the mayor a little bit, and well, when your mayor is bulletproof and can punch your face in pretty easily, it's not a lot going on there. So that was a fun scene there. Again, pick up. Let's see, that was issue 3 of the current Daredevil run right now. So yeah, fun stuff here. Oh, here we go. Johnny watching from downtown Louisville, going on a date with some ghosts. All right, well. Hope things go well. We all know he ain't afraid of no ghosts because he shows everybody where they are. Yes, if you're in the downtown Nashville area, you got to look up Johnny's Ghost Tours there. I'm sorry I don't remember the name of your organization, Johnny. You'll have to remind me. But yeah, if you're downtown Nashville and you want a good ghost tour, you gotta see our buddy Johnny there. So yeah, I love a good ghost tour. I think around here, I know they do historical tours or whatnot, but yeah, they do a ghost tour around here. So we need Johnny out here to do a ghost tour for Elizabethtown. So, hey, Dave Mattingly on the show. Good to see you, sir. Frank Castle will teach Daredevil the sound of one hand clapping. Yeah. Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah, I see what you did there. Nice. You Weisenheimer, you. I love it. Okay. Over at DC, got a couple of cool selections here. A new #1 here. This is Batman versus Robin. That's right. So father and son are clashing. This is really kind of what we've been waiting for. This has been building up for quite some time in the Batman and Robin books. Of course, Damian has been trying to kind of reconnect with his the other half of his lineage. That's not Bruce Wayne. Basically, that's the Ra's al Ghul, the Assassins Guild. So, of course, his mother is Talia al Ghul, and she's not quite mommy dearest, but they do have a good relationship. But anyway, Damian's been kind of on a journey of self-discovery, kind of going out on his own. Of course, definitely has been highly affected with the death of Alfred Pennyworth, everybody's favorite butler. So he's really separated himself from Dad, and then now something has kind of crept into Damian. Maybe he's possessed. Don't entirely know just yet, but yeah, he's gotten out for Dad, and using one element that Bruce is kind of ill prepared for, and that's magic. Bruce has got a lot of buddies, and has some trinkets, but he's not very skilled himself in it. Damian knows that's his weak point. But we kind of found out maybe a little bit of really who's pulling Damian's strings. And yeah, so, of course, if you like your good, father versus son clashes there, but, a little bit of magic stuff thrown in there, definitely worth checking out. Mark Waid's writing it, so that's always a good thing. So, yeah, definitely worth picking up there. Not the huge event going on right now with Dark Crisis. This is kind of, I guess, maybe happening before those events. I don't know. The timelines are funky, but nonetheless, this is definitely a clash that's been building up here. So we'll see how things work out right now. But there was, of course, one particular surprise entrant in this particular series because, like I said, we're dealing with magic stuff. We don't quite know what's going on, but maybe the ley lines are a little weaker, and we see a particular comeback that is rather poignant to the story. So I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's definitely worth picking up. All right, the fifth and almost the penultimate issue here of Jurassic League that Daniel Warren Johnson has been writing. He, of course, does the cover art, but the interior art has been done by Juan Gideon. And frankly, Juan's art is almost a dead ringer for Daniel Warren Johnson's art. Let me get a good page here for you. Yeah, see, like something like that. So, yeah, just absolutely fun. Love this stuff here. But really, this miniseries, all it's been doing is reimagining the Justice League and the classic villains of the Justice League as dinosaurs. In the prehistoric age, they're interacting with some humans, but basically the dinosaurs are much, stronger, faster, or whatever else already. And then you kind of add in superpowers or certain super abilities here. But yeah, this has just been a totally fun mini series here. Just, playing in the sandbox, just having, again, the Justice League is dinosaurs. So just a ridiculous kind of thing, but the art really fits it. I love Daniel Warren Johnson's style anyway. He did the Wonder Woman Dead Earth miniseries that was really good, kind of a Wonder Woman, a Rip Van Winkle sort of storyline where basically she kind of gets put in a stasis pod in the modern day. And then when she wakes up, it's like, hundreds of years in the future, and Earth basically doesn't remember who the Justice League are, super people, or anyways. They got their own problems to deal with because Earth is not in the greatest shape when she gets out of the pod. So really good story there. Of course, what I'm about to get to here, nice segue, is his other independent series here, Do a Powerbomb, which has been incredible. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, like you don't normally watch pro wrestling, this is just still a great book because essentially the whole premise of this is that this young lady up here, I'm sorry, now, right here we go. Yeah. Her mother was probably the world's greatest professional wrestler, and then unfortunately, due to an accident, dies in the ring. And so, Yua basically grows up with this legacy of her mother and then decides that she wants to become a pro wrestler herself. So she basically gets in and is not too bad herself. But the strange thing is that she gets involved in this tournament that she finds out is kind of like this interdimensional, otherworldly, alien sort of tournament here. But the guy does not realize that on Earth, in our dimension, pro wrestling is a staged event. It is a performance. It is not an actual mortal combat sort of thing. Apparently, in other parts of the multiverse, it is. So basically, they go into this tournament with, of course, this fellow over here is kind of her, rival on Earth, but then they end up being a tag team together to basically, everybody kind of gets like a big wish. You can, raise somebody from the dead or, whatever else. And so basically, Ewan decides she's going to bring her mother back. And the other, guy here, basically, who was her mother's tag team partner, decides to help her out. But of course, they quickly find out, we find this is now the fourth issue running here, but past couple issues, they find out that they've got, quite a big, number of bad guys in this series here, some very worthy opponents. So yeah, it's some rough goings for our team here, but definitely really worth checking out here. Let's see. Dave says, Johnny, make sure the ghosts pay for dinner. Yeah, well, actually, do ghosts carry money, or can they just they can scare the staff and then Johnny can bowl. So it's kind of like a dine and dash sort of thing. Okay, maybe that's not a good thing to recommend. I'm on a weird mood today here, so you're gonna get some strange stuff, folks. All right. Speaking of strange stuff here, this is a mini series I've been looking forward to. Now, of course, they kicked off the Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino kicked off the Bone Orchard Mythos universe, I guess, so to speak. First on Free Comic Book Day, with a one-shot there. And then with their hardcover, The Passageway, which I, of course, recommended on this show and is incredible. Totally recommend checking this out here. And like I said, it is a hardcover, so it's everything self-contained in this one thing. The Bone Orchard mythos basically is kind of supposedly is it going to be a shared horror universe that Lemire and Sorrentino have created. But right now, it doesn't seem like there's any connectivity, so to speak, here. Now, 10,000 Black Feathers is the first in kind of a mini series. I believe it's going to be a 10-issue series. So this is the first offering in this. Again, I don't really want to kind of spoil too much about what's going on here. Essentially, we've got our character has kind of come back to her hometown after a small period of time or a long period of time, and something is definitely haunting her. Maybe some sort of past regret of an accident, a reason, why. I don't know, why she's, anyway, there's something that's haunting her, definitely. Coming home is kind of almost triggering her even further, but there's a reason she's coming home. But yes, like I said, the wonderful thing about, Lemire and Sorrentino, when they go into the horror stuff, it kind of takes a little bit for kind of things to open up. If you've read any of his Gideon Falls stuff, you kind of know what I'm talking about, and so it's definitely creepy and atmospheric, but they're taking their time on it, and it's definitely classy horror. There's not a lot of crazy gore or anything going on, but yeah, it's definitely worth checking out here. So I highly recommend this. Of course, like I said, this is the first issue of the miniseries, so yeah, there's a lot more to come, and I think they've got. Of course, some other miniseries and some other hardcovers coming later this year and going into next year as well. So there's got a lot more planned coming up in the Bone Orchard mythos universe. But again, like I said, I haven't seen any connectivity so far, but supposedly there's going to be some here. So yeah, we will definitely see what all pans out from there. But of course, I just have really enjoyed and appreciated the renaissance that horror comics have seen recently. Of course, the Independents have been carrying the torch for quite some time. Image, Dark Horse, Zenoscope. I mean, the list goes on and on. But of course, now we're starting to see horror coming in the major leagues. Especially DC right now. Marvel, not so much just yet. They do their zombie stuff from time to time, but really haven't seen a lot. More. I mean, Marvel's coming up with some stuff coming up this October here that looks fun. Definitely trying to dip into the horror stuff, cashing in a little bit on Moon Knight's current popularity and then the upcoming Blade popularity, which we know when that movie drops, hopefully that's going to be good. I can't see why it's not. I mean, at least their lead right now, cast in Mahershala Ali, is a great choice. So I have faith in the project without having seen too much in it, just because I'm a Blade fan. I want to see it on screen again. I'm a little jealous about that. I want to see this. So there you go. Anyway, so we're going to take a break for just a moment here with our sponsor, Comic Books for Kids. And then when we come back, we're talking some thrillers. So be right back.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
And we're back. And we got another comment here. Hello, beautiful people. I think that's Keisha on there. Hello to you too, dear. Good to see you. All right. So we're talking some movies here. And of course, like I said, we're talking thrillers here this week. We're not quite in the horror movie season just yet, so we're not, talking about slashers or anything supernatural. These are kind of man-made disasters, so to speak, here. So, but yeah, so this is some cool stuff here that I definitely want to share with you guys. Movies you may know, you may not know. So, yeah, so we will definitely, hopefully, introduce you guys to something new here. Got all my trusty notes because I can't be expected to memorize everything, folks. All right. Anyway, so first movie I want to share with you. This is a classic, in my opinion. Here, not because of its age, because it's been referenced. Definitely, if you're a Beastie Boys fan, you know this movie, and it actually has been remade not too terribly long ago. But I'm talking about the classic, "The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3." This is actually based off a book by the same name, written by, I love this name here, Morton Friedgood. Of course, he was using a pen name under the name John Gotti when he wrote this book, but yes, it's based off the book of the same name here. Also, if you're a Quentin Tarantino fan, you know Reservoir Dogs, the whole gimmick that Tarantino used in the movie of color coding his criminals was basically taken from this movie in particular. Because basically what this is that a group of criminals takes hostage a subway car with basically, designs on escaping out of the city, getting into a plane, and having lots of money and all that stuff. And they basically give away the hostages ransom sort of thing. But you got a great 70s cast here. Basically, you got tongue-tied everyone here. Walter Matthau in the lead here. It's basically kind of the main TSA agent here, transit agent or authority or something like that. But anyway, he's kind of our main guy here. And the remake, Denzel Washington plays him. So Denzel Washington plays him a little differently here than Walter Matthau does. This movie, our good guys really don't have virtually any contact at all with the bad guys. Cops do clash with our criminals, but yeah, our main dudes basically are kind of like transit authority guys that are just, their jobs are keeping the subway trains rolling and keeping these people safe. And they're having radio contact with the criminals on board, Pelham 1, 2, 3. But yeah, there's not like an actual fisticuffs clash at the end. That's one thing I kind of like about this movie. It doesn't go for a lot of the obvious tropes that we know today in action thrillers or anything like that. So it's definitely got a cool jazzy score here by David Shire. Very kind of, little funky, little jazzy, whatever else, but it fits the movie. If you love movies that kind of definitely about old New York before things basically went Technicolor, yawn, Giuliani, tourist trap sort of thing that it is now, this is one of those movies. And there's a lot of great New York actors in here. Basically, if you ever watch Seinfeld, tons of the supporting cast of Seinfeld are in this movie. I mean, it's like Jerry Stiller's in here, Doris Roberts, who's, of course, she was in like brief parts. We know her more from Everybody Loves Raymond, but she's in here. But yeah, just tons of other recognizable faces in here. But our other leads, our bad guys, are Robert Shaw, who we know from Jaws. He's Mr. Blue, who's kind of the ringleader. Martin Balsam is kind of the very slubbish, and maybe he needs to take some cold medicine, Mr. Green. Of course, that kind of comes into play a little bit later on. Then we got Earl Hinman, who's a great character actor playing Mr. Brown. And interestingly enough, we have a very young Hector Elizondo in here playing the rather homicidal Mr. Gray. So if of course, Hector Elizondo has played all sorts of roles throughout his career. Of course, you know him probably best from the Tim Allen show, Last Man Standing, which just ended, but he was all part of that show. But he always kind of plays, nice guys, warm guys. Occasionally he's played some creepy dudes, but you've never seen him play a full-on like badass homicidal killer unless you see this movie here. So it's a very interesting role here. But yeah, but again, really enjoy this movie here. It was directed by Joseph Sargent, who was very much kind of a journeyman director here. He, did lots of other films, in Britain and in the States. Probably, I'd say the other movies he would probably best known for, a little soft spot in my heart, Jaws: The Revenge. He directed that one. And also the TV film, The Karen Carpenter Story. Not the one the weird indie one that used a Barbie doll. I mean, like the real one they aired on TV that people watched and your mom probably cried over. So, yeah, he directed that one here. So, but again, just a nice, journeyman director here. So just a very well done film, well edited. Great, love letter to old New York, even though they didn't know they were doing it for old New York. But nonetheless, it's a nice time capsule of the film. Of course, always thought, I don't know much about subway culture or anything like that, or traveling the subways because I didn't grow up in New York and whatnot, but yeah, the Pelham 123 basically comes from, it's the train. It's coming from Pelham Bay Park, which is in the Bronx, and it was the 1:23 p.m. train coming in. So that's where the radio call sign comes in there. But yeah, so again, it's a classic thriller here. Absolutely love this one. So highest recommendation on this one here. Definitely check it out. The next one on the list here, this one definitely comes under the, you probably have never heard of this film before, but I've heard of this one for a number of years, but hadn't seen it. But finally, recently, it's now streaming on Shudder. Pelham 123, which I just talked about. I believe that's on HBO Max. I'm not 100% sure, but it is streaming available, for rental, so you can check that one out too. But all right, back to Siege. So Siege was originally a Canadian film, kind of part of their Canuck exploitation, as they want to call it. But then it was released in the States under the name Self-Defense. But this is basically the Canadian Assault on Precinct 13, if you're a John Carpenter fan. So it really, no pun intended, it is a great Siege film. Some of the reviews were kind, some were not, but really kind of the popular conception now is that, well, this is basically almost kind of the same plot as Assault on Precinct 13, but it's got a little bit better execution to it. And frankly, it's a little more timely, and I'll tell you why. So this was originally directed by Paul Donovan and Maura O'Connell. Maura I couldn't find out much information about, but Paul Donovan was basically another journeyman Canadian director, did a lot of film, a lot of TV, still working today. He's got his own production company. He also wrote and produced the film as well. New Line originally released this in 1983. Like I said, it was released originally in Canada, and then when it came over to the States, it was retitled Self-Defense, which a lot of stuff in the exploitation happens. Somebody doesn't like a title, let's put up something else, Self-Defense. There you go. So I don't know. Siege is a much cooler title. Anywho, so the plot of the movie is that it takes place in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and the police department are currently on strike. So basically, nobody's working, and the streets are running rampant with crime. There is this group that kind of a militia, terrorist group, whatever you want to call them. They're a great bunch of angry Canadians calling themselves the New World Order. And no, it's not Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan. It's a bunch of Canadians, and some of them are armed, some of them aren't. Some of them just have bats and knives and stuff like that. But a couple of them have guns, so watch out. But either way, they're kind of running around Nova Scotia, just wreaking havoc, whatever else. Unfortunately, they go into an underground gay bar and immediately start targeting the people in there, and accidentally kill somebody in the bar. They weren't intending to kill anybody there, but unfortunately it happened. And now they're like, okay, well, I guess we got to kill everybody in here so they don't call the cops. And so in a very disturbing scene, kind of one by one, they start killing all the patrons in the bar. Now, the interesting thing is that the time this movie came out, most people in the LGBTQ community were not very, positively portrayed in film and television. They were very stereotypical, or they were almost seen as predatorial or anything like that. This film, on the other hand, is not that way. When you go into the bar, you see a kind of a swath of people. You got people who are very feminine, some who aren't. There's lesbians in there. You even see maybe someone's in drag, possibly, or maybe, I don't know. But either way, people are just kind of sitting there hanging out, having drinks, just enjoying themselves. But no one's really being kind of a caricature. Everybody's being very natural. So that's kind of an unusual thing in '83. So kudos to this film, the producers and directors for this one. Because again, it's you don't normally see that. So anyway, back to the disturbing scene here. So everyone's being killed one by one. There's a bit of a distraction, and one of the patrons is actually able to escape the bar. And when he does, he basically finds a apartment complex and manages to get inside right before the criminals catch up to him. And so there's a couple in there, Barbara and Horatio. Horatio played by Tom Nardini. Barbara was played by Brenda Bassinet, which, again, none of these, I don't really recognize anyone that's in here. So I guess maybe these were either kind of, seasoned Canadian, film and TV actors, or maybe this was kind of like one-offs of them, but really haven't seen these actors in anything. So I can't really say there's the only actor I recognize is the leader of the New World Order, played by Doug Lennox, who, let's see, he's played some bad guys in a lot of other films. I think he was in one of the Police Academy movies. I think he may have been the original Police Academy movie as one of the lead criminals there. It was like the one that was threatening Mahoney with a gun, kind of like a grizzled white guy wearing a lot of leather. I think, yeah, he's the main leader of the New World Order. So that's, so Doug Lennox is the only guy I recognize in the entire movie here. And it's kind of saying something for all the stuff I've seen. Anyway, so the patron that gets away, Chester, played by Daryl Haney, is taken inside. Now, of course, he's still very kind of traumatized by everything that's going on. So he's not being much help communicating why he's there, what's going on. But unfortunately, the New World Order shows up here and, they're trying to get inside very violently and whatever else. But fortunately, this group of people who live in this building are, I don't know, they seem to be kind of like very resourceful. Especially there's one neighbor who's in there, kind of seems to be like the Mr. Fix-It guy. Maybe he's kind of the, he's really into military survivalist stuff, even though he maybe not was actually in the military, but he's the most resourceful of them all. So he ends up setting like booby traps and like extra little escape tunnels they can get through in case somebody gets through. So yeah, he seems to be very clever. So again, there's a lot of clever, good, resourceful people working together in this movie, but it all works within the world. It's not like strange stuff or strange resources pop out that you wouldn't normally think, or suddenly they're armed to the teeth or whatever else. It's like everything makes sense in here. But eventually, Chester kind of gets his bearings back a little bit, explains what's going on, and then he actually gets to have his moment of revenge as well. So, but yeah, a very satisfying, good thriller here. Of course, a little bit low budget, but for me, it works. One of my I love Assault on Precinct 13, but one of my biggest criticisms of the original is there's really not a lot of explanation for what's going on, which is kind of where the remake that has Ethan Hawke and Lawrence Fishburne in it kind of makes that succeed a little bit better. They flesh things out a little bit more. It's a little bit better executed. But the style of the original Assault on Precinct 13 still can't be denied. The performances are great, so I still enjoy the movie. But, as a overall how things work out, the remake of Assault on Precinct 13 works out, and Siege itself, I think, works out better, as well. With kind of their similar concept and execution of the plot and things there. So again, very worth checking out. It is streaming on Shudder currently. I'm not sure it's available, so that's where I saw it. So yeah, definitely worth looking for. All right, our next movie is our most recent movie on the list here, and this one you may know a little bit more familiar with here. 2011's You're Next. This is definitely taking the home invasion kind of movie and turning it on its head a little bit here, having a little bit of fun with things here. So this is directed by Adam Wingard. He also edited the film and is written by Simon Barrett. And of course, they would go on to do the film The Guest, which is another good thriller. Recommend that one as well. And then, of course, Adam himself has had a recent bout of success with his most recent film, Godzilla versus Kong, which was a lot of fun. Wasn't sure how that was going to work out, but yeah, that was everything I wanted it to be. And yeah, Adam did a great job with that one here. And I appreciated the fact that the camera was pulled back nice and far away, so you can see those very tall monsters fighting. And even though there was times they were fighting in the dark, you can see. So I'm call me old fashioned. I don't care. But even when you're in the dark, I still want to be able to see things because it is a motion picture, for God's sakes. I paid money to see this movie. You should be able to see it. Turn on a light, hire a lighting director, for God's sake. I understand the natural light sort of thing, but you can do both. It is possible. You don't need to keep the lights off, whatever else. And then I hate when we're having, giant tall monsters or robots or whatever else, and we're doing zooming cameras around and getting way too close. Like, no, these things are very tall. Let's see the scope of this. Let's watch them fight. And from afar, that, please and thank you. So yeah, kudos to Adam on Godzilla versus Kong. But back to You're Next here. So You're Next, like I said, a nice kind of turn on the home invasion storyline here. So what this is a families getting together for the weekend, celebrating their parents' anniversary, and it seems like a big, well-to-do family here. House is kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but lovely, affluent family here. A bunch of wasps, so that sort of thing like that. I think there's like 3 or 4 brothers, a couple of sisters, and some sisters-in-laws, and whatever else here. So everybody's getting together, but it also seems like the family maybe doesn't quite get along, especially the brothers and sisters. There's a lot of nipping and, snide remarks here and backhanded compliments and all that kind of stuff here. So, nonetheless, here, things escalate quickly. We're sitting down to dinner here, and one of the boyfriends notices, hey, what's that outside? Something's going on here. And then basically gets very quickly killed. And so one by one, basically, the family members are hunted and picked off by these guys wearing animal masks and armed with crossbows and melee weapons, but no guns. I guess they don't want to attract as much attention with the sound, so we're using crossbows and melee weapons. But where things take a turn is that one of the brothers brought his new girlfriend, Erin, who seems like a normal, very lovely lady, just doesn't, not physically imposing or whatever else, just, nice, lovely girl. But apparently she grew up in a survivalist camp and she knows her way around situations like this and basically takes action very quickly in defending herself, defending what's left of the family members, and picking off the bad guys one by one themselves. I will warn you, if you're not fans of gore, there's a lot of blood in this movie here, but there's a lot of just dark comedy in this movie, but it's still a lot of fun. Of course, a nice women empowerment sort of movie here, because of course this isn't even like the final girl surviving at the end of the movie. This is literally the final girl is the biggest badass in the movie. Y'all better watch out. There's even a great funny ending at the in this movie here. So yeah, highly recommend this here. Good performances here. Sherry Vinson is the girl Erin, who is our survivalist here. Great performance on her, because like the beginning of the movie, she seems completely innocuous, just very nice and sweet, and then when the fit hits the shan, suddenly she goes into survival mode. It's like, whoa. Who's that? Let's see. AJ Bowen is the brother boyfriend Crispin who brings her along. Joe Swanberg is probably, I think, the oldest brother Drake. He is a great performance, because this guy, you want him dead. Like, he is insufferable throughout this movie. So you're praying for him to get killed in gruesome ways just because he deserves it. So yeah, again, just a lot of fun in this one here. Stanley Tucci's son, Nicholas Tucci, is also in the movie, playing brother Felix, who may or may not have a little bit of prior knowledge to what these events are going on here. So yeah, a couple of twists in this movie here. Of course, I spoiled you there a little bit, Aaron, but yeah. Definitely a lot of fun here. Definitely worth looking out for. Of course, if you want a nice, fun thriller here, a little bit of dark comedy thrown in here, a lot of gore. I mean, we're not talking like Saw kind of gore here, but like I said, we're dealing with arrows and melee weapons here and survivalist training here. So there's a lot of piercings of things and arrows being stuck in people and a lot of blood. So just a little bit to let you know there. So the other 2 films, not as gory. So, especially Pelham 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's 74. So, there is no such thing as gore in United Artists Films here. So, yeah. So you're safe on that one there. But anywho, I hope you enjoy these, and definitely want to check them out. If there's any other films that maybe things you might be fans of that you think people aren't into or should be into, share them here in the comments here. We'll definitely address those at later times. And if I've seen those movies, I'll be like, yep, I know that one, that's awesome, or not seen it, I'll have to check it out, all that sort of good thing here. But yeah, we'll share all the good movie geekness and all that sort of thing here. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves here and enjoyed the films here. If you haven't checked them out yet, I highly recommend doing so. Also, of course, we are now 5 episodes deep into She-Hulk here, so we have a few more to go. But this week's was pretty good here. If you noticed towards the end of the episode there, something was in that box that our costume designer, Luke, had to cover up there real quick. So I can smell another guest star coming up pretty soon. So I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be exciting. But anyway, you guys have yourself a great weekend. Like I said, if you're in the Elizabethtown area, check out Night Risers Con. They're on Facebook, so they're Night Risers Con. So definitely want to give them a look-see. Also, like I said, I'm going to be posting that movie trailer for Zeta 23 coming up here in a couple of hours. So they'll be on you. I'll post it on YouTube. I'll also post it on the Fanatic Forum's Facebook page. So definitely check that one out as well. So you guys have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time on the Fanatic Forum. Bye-bye.